Oh, the e-brake's up. The e-brake is up.
Use them muscle arms. You're gonna need it with those tires on there.
Is the key turns so it doesn't lock? Okay.
It wasn't.
Right.
Just rammed straight into my Integra. Oh, these tires are rubbing a bit on full lock, bud.
A little bit.
I just did leg day this morning too.
Lord. It's a small car. Always done.
Yeah. She's looking cool though. Little bash bar. Yeah, it's simple, but it's effective.
It's mid.
That's all he wanted, so something to just protect the intercooler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should do your little tag right here.
You're right, I should. Before it leaves. Yeah,
that'd be nice.
yeah, before it leaves, we'll roll it back over and I'll tack it on. Alright, so good afternoon guys. Welcome back to the video, or to the channel. I already filmed a whole beginning sequence to this video. Filmed some B-roll, filmed an intro with Corey since we're halfway through the day. And it turns out I never formatted my memory card, so it kind of like slightly overfilled. I don't know, the memory card in this camera is weird. And yeah, it corrupted all my footage. Well, most of it. So I didn't have a whole lot filmed, so I'll kind of catch you up to speed with what we're doing. But you guys are getting kind of heavy. Let me find my tripod. I'm out of breath. That Mustang weighs too much. Okay, so we got the beat behind us here on the lift. So if you watched the last video, the first video was basically getting the engine in the car, and then I think we touched on Corey starting the subframe, getting the two main tubes put together. So the last video, if you didn't watch that to catch up to speed, we basically started working on the rest of the subframe and tying in some suspension as well as the rear motor mount and the rear T-bracket, because we wanted to be able to use the factory stuff, but we couldn't. So we did use the factory rear mount, just in a different orientation than normal. So it is what it is. It looks cool though. So basically what we got working on here today is you can kind of see Corey tucked back there somewhere in the shadows, right over here. He's playing with the chop saw. We just had to make a Home Depot run. We were working on doing the control arm mount points because that's where we ended the last video in. We have the toe links tacked up, like the parts that the toe link actually bolts to on the subframe. So we got those made up and tacked into position. We had a rough cut of the control arm one, but we didn't like how it looked. The tube fitment could have been a little bit better. And Corey wanted to get a little bit more fancy with the actual steel flat stock, the bent piece. Mine was more boxed. He wanted to, you know, contour, just make it look a little bit more flashy. So he's already got that spot done. Now we've moved on to the tubes. So let me kind of walk you around the car and show you what those do. Bit of a long-winded introduction, I know, I do apologize, but this is where we're at. So these are the toe arms. Now these are supposed to be eccentric, but there's a company in Japan that offers adjustable toe and control arm for adjustable camber and adjustable toe. So we advised the owner he's going to order a set of those because it's cheaper than us making them, and they're fancy looking, they're all CNC'd and stuff. So yeah, so right now he's got a little bit of a toe in because that was the only way we could fit the arm and stuff, because we were limited in options because the engine sits so far back and down because the owner did not want to cut the car up in the slightest. So this is what we're working with. Yes, the engine does sit low, it's not just your eyes. Thought you were a daredevil, bud. Hold it with your hand.
I am. Got the grip strength for that, man.
Your dirty little weenie beaters ain't got the grip strength to hold it.
Do not, dude. But you know what? These do.
Yeah, so the tubes, basically the issue he's having really quick is just the tube is too short to fit in the vise. So it is what it is. Alright, since that's a fresh cut, I'll just let you explain kind of what we're doing for the arm once you, I mean, if you want to deburr that, but...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll get this taken care of real quick so you can kind of show them a little bit better. I don't get cut.
You're the star of this segment.
Yeah, dude. This one, so I don't know if you guys noticed, but the center of the actual notch is actually offset to the cut. So we're cutting on 2 different axes right there, which is super hard.
Yeah, because that's the issue that I had yesterday at the end of the last video when I made my notch. We were going to just say screw it and fake the funk, but we had a pretty decent gap on that side of the tube and we weren't happy with it.
So this is super rough. You want to come around this side, but we actually got the orientation of the cut correct. We got the notch in there tight, and then we actually have a good fitment down below as well.
Yeah, so the easier way to take out of this now, since this is the harder of the cuts, we can just shorten the notch up. So we can just chop this back, like we'll measure that distance and then, you know, just do some basic math and account for the notch. But yeah, so that's exactly what we're doing. This is the box part he made before, so it's 3/8 plate. He just cut it halfway through and we bent it, so we're just gonna fill the bend with weld. And then as you just saw, we attached that tube and that's our pickup points for that. And just partially for like beauty factor, partially for strength, we're gonna add little triangle gussets to go where the tube meets the other tube. And then I also just added this rear jack point right here because he did want one. So yeah, just a little guy, nothing crazy. But that basically catches you guys up to speed. I do apologize for the lack of fancy shots in the intro to this video. Like I said, my stupid memory card, you know, can't control everything, especially camera things. Sometimes electronics just have a mind of their own.
Trying to see how we're gonna mirror to the other side, because the saw only cuts one way, so I had my measurements all marked out. That's the correct way. If we were to line it up there, that's the correct way to cut it, the offset and everything. But being that our saw won't flip to the other side, can't throw that in there and cut it. It has to cut the opposite way. So that means that we have to flip the tube and cut on the back side. But when that's being said, it is super hard to calculate the offset on the actual back side. So I would actually have to cut it on this side. It's just very tricky.
Well, since we know that we have to cut the tube length anyway, I would just match the saw angle to that and then just worry about the notch right after.
True.
Yeah.
That is a great thing.
And here's my fancy new drill that I just had to go out and buy because his rigid drill decided to start acting up, and then my Harbor Freight one decided to start acting up while we were trying to notch those tubes. So we think it's both of our batteries or something. But anyway, we just didn't want to risk it, and I needed a corded drill anyway. So we ran to Home Depot, got a chop saw blade anyway since mine was broken, and this DeWalt. So I'm going to test notch a tube really quick because this thing only has one speed, which is like 1,000 RPM, but I don't know. It's supposed to be pretty decent. And I know DeWalt's a great brand, but I'm going to give this a test really quick. Okay, well, I think the test cut went pretty good. I mean, I just wish it had variable speed. The whole 1,000 RPM fixed thing kind of makes me a sad panda, but I don't know. It's got torque. That's what really matters, right? So, whatever. All right, we're going to focus on getting these tubes up, and then I'll catch up with you guys, show you the progress. Got the one tube so far right on the money, so we're about to tack it up into position. So, I just want to show you guys really quick that we're matching the control arm angle, because right now the knuckle would be in the resting position with all the weight off the car. So granted, this is blown struts, lack of weight, but so we got our digital angle finder up here. So right now we're sitting right around 10-11 degrees. So we move it to this back arm. We're sitting right at about 11 degrees. So within a degree of each other. This side, same thing. Yep, 10.2. This side.
We're not there.
Oh yeah, this side needs to be supported. But yeah, this side will be right at the same. So yeah, because that side's being held up by the stand. But yeah, this tube fitment is freaking money though. I'll turn this guy off. Yeah, so we're looking pretty good here.
Heck yeah, I almost want to tack it in right there. I don't even want to move.
Tube first or plate? Dealer choice.
Get this plate, both sides of the plate, and then we'll do the tube to the side frame.
Ready?
Yep.
You moved a little, are you sure?
Yep, that's where I wanted to move it.
I like my weld puddle like I like my bath, full of bubbles.
Hell yeah. Should be good with just that. for a second. That is going to be the business.
I think that looks pretty good. So, like I mentioned before, he was just saying we're going to add a gusset up in the corner. Again, partially for looks, partially for structure. This DOM tube is way more sturdy and strong than the stamped sheet metal is, but we're just trying to overkill it to be way more safe than sorry, because we don't want none of this to break or shift under any sort of load or whatever. So, yeah. Moving along, just about done. One more tube, and then we're just about ready, other than gusset, to drop everything and weld it. I mean, we are going to have to weld a good chunk of it on the vehicle because we don't need it, we don't want it to change. So like the tube we just added, the plates up here for the tow arms and stuff, that's all getting welded on the vehicle. Alright, we got the second arm right there, just about to tack it up.
Get to the two.
Oh yes, that went right in the glove hole.
Hell yeah.
Oof, tasty.
Other side, probably, hopefully it's not too big of a gap, is it?
Looks alright.
Well, we can bend it up real quick here.
Oh no, it's fine.
I'll bet, okay. It felt a lot worse than it was. Okay. Tack it up. Woo, puppy.
Alright, so I don't know how well you guys can see that because I got the camera zoomed out and I keep punching you guys. I do apologize. But we're looking... I keep smacking the camera. Gosh, I suck. But yeah. Let's take a step back. Corey said they look symmetrical, but he's a little cockeyed, so let me double check. Let me double check this.
Looks square to me.
Yeah, we're looking money right there. With the trailing arms, or I'm sorry, the toe arms right there and there. Those are basically dead nuts level. And then these control arms, those are looking pretty much dead nuts center. Like they're both at 11.1 degrees to be exact, I believe. But yeah, we're looking awesome. So he's got some construction paper he's just marking out. We're just gonna do a dimple die gusset to make it look nice and flashy because it'll look really cool. And then we'll just copy that to this side. But man, oh man, we're looking good. Jesus, she grabs. Got ourselves some fancy... Oh, you put the wrong one on. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Because this one was marked that you handed me, and this was the second one. Because that one was the first side. Well, I was about to say we got the dimple dies all done. So...
That's so funny.
Okay.
I'm wondering why it was off a little bit.
Yeah, so this side technically goes right there. So that looks pretty cherry. He's got his side over there looking pretty cherry. Silly goose. Yeah, so there we go. Those are our gussets. Now that everything's all tacked up, the next step is going to, well, once these are on, of course, next step is just going to be starting to weld the big stuff, and then we drop it and weld it. Do your thing.
Right, now where did I set it though?
I've been losing them everywhere. They blend in.
Yeah, dude, that's half the battle right there. We're basically just going in line with the tube, so I can go off of looks on this one for the most part. Blind myself in the process.
Didn't have your helmet on?
I did, but it was on grind mode.
You guys ready to see the final product?
Well, yeah.
I don't know, bud. You think they're ready?
I don't even know. I'm not even ready.
Yeah. Well, I know. Well, that was unexciting because the camera doesn't zoom that well. But there you go. There you have it. This is a finished rear end. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot to explain because we've done 3 videos talking about this already. I was gonna say I thought you were pulling the cable, but yeah, no, this is all finished. So like all that's left is just final weld. So we kind of just made a plan. I was thinking probably the best way because everything is only tacked up, and if you guys don't play with metal, metal shrinks, metal contracts, you know, expands, stuff like that. So we got to play it smart with how we weld it. We can't just go balls deep into it because things will shift, things will move, etc. So I'm thinking we're going to weld these 2 main tubes up here, 2 main tubes up here, and then we have these top plates up here. Going to try and weld those on. Then after those are good, maybe direct some of the heat here in the center and do the jack point and the rear engine bracket. From there, go to the toe link mounting points, and then we'll take the toe links off because these are kind of blocking our torch area to weld the tube up here for the control arm. But yeah, we'll take the toe arm off, weld the control arm, then we can drop it, and then we can do the final welds with TIG on the smaller parts like the name tag and some of the tighter spots where we don't really feel like MIGging it or where we want to make it flashy, like the gussets, for example. But we're going to just throw this thing up on a time lapse. We're going to get to weld. And I think Corey's going to kick us off because he likes playing with the MIG. He's been letting me do plenty of welding with the TIG, so we'll let him have a chance to shine. See if it holds up. See if that never shift fab can lay some dimes with the MIG.
Doubt.
Yeah.
Probably going to crack.
Crack under pressure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Rookie mistake. First day on the job, bud.
Yeah, I was trying to help you out, taking it out of the shot, and then making me look like a youngster.
I wonder if this guy realizes he's working on a lift. He can just lower the car out. He pulled up the stand instead to roll, or to stand on that to weld it. You know you're working on a lift, bud.
Yeah.
Alright, so I haven't seen this yet, but Corey's geeking, so... Alright.
Come on, the whole way.
Not too shabby.
The whole way.
It's looking a little, it's alright.
Burned up and washed out.
Yeah, that looks titties though. Except you know what the only issue is?
They don't match?
They don't. So your weld pool that way, like your gas bubbles are facing that way, that side they're facing that. Oh, so this matches with that side. Foolish. Foolish man.
Those x-ray eyes, man, we need to get rid of those things.
Yeah.
Just fake the phone.
Yeah,
Other than that, they look great, right?
We'll just wire wheel all the gas bubbles away, so that way nobody knows that you change directions.
Yeah.
No, that looks really titties though. A-okay. That's what this thing's costing so much money on. You getting that type of quality. Looks pretty damn sick to me. So we got most of it welded on the car, only a few spots to touch up the backside stuff that we couldn't get to, like the back motor mount plate, the backside of the motor mount plate, and then the back sides of the control arm tubes that are coped to the subframe. So only a couple weld joints, and we're just gonna flash some of the smaller stuff up like the badges with the TIG welder. So I'm gonna knock that out really fast, and yeah, only thing else that we have to do is in the morning. We don't have the hardware for the transmission, so right now the bracket, we can't tell if the bracket warped a little bit. This guy down here. So there is a lot of slop because this mount's kind of blown out because he didn't give us a good one. like, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's rubber, but there's a lot of play in the mount. And so we only have the one bolt, and it's even then it's way too long to bolt all the way into the transmission. So I'm gonna try and find the hardware. They're huge bolts. They're like M14, 125, like fine thread. It's something silly. So I'll figure that part out hopefully. If not, then he's gonna have to take the car home with the one bolt in the rear mount and find some new hardware. But yeah, let's finish welds. All right, so this brought us into the next day. I ran out of hardware because the issue we had is the whole rear motor mount area was only held in with, you know, like Sharpies and some scrap hardware that didn't fit, as well as the rear subframe. The factory bolts were way too long, so I needed to get some shorter stuff. So I came down here to my local Shoppers Supply, which is kind of like a country, you know, horse feed type farm store, but they also have the best hardware selection of any of the hardware stores I've been to. So thankfully we got really lucky. We needed some M14 by 1.5 thread pitch bolts. I've never seen those in like an Ace or anything, so thankfully they had them here. I'm gonna meet Corey at the shop now and we can get this subframe finished up. Just a few more inches of weld to do, just mostly on the gussets. I got everything else done last night, and we'll put this thing back into the car. Okay, so as you can see, we left yesterday with the subframe off, like I mentioned a few seconds ago. Yeah, it's chilly this morning. So I got this thing, well, we got this thing because he welded basically everything that he could in the car, and then I dropped it, and then I welded what he never was able to reach. And then we added his badge. Can't even see that because the lighting is so funky, but yep, got his badge all tigged up. So the only few spots left were, ooh, that's getting kind of heavy right there. Yeah, we're adding a couple of these little triangle gussets. Not that we necessarily need them, but like right there, just, you know, add an extra little bit of beef. And then there's just a few small spots, like right there, you can see missing a small bit of weld right there. So a couple more minutes on the MIG, this will be done. We can put it back up in the car, but before we can do that, we got to drop the engine because we got to make a spacer for that mount up there, because right now there's just the bolt going through it, no spacer like on this plate. And we're just going to clean up the edges on those two brackets. And then this thing's homeward bound, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Kicking it to the curb. Fire, putting on some wheels for a video.
All right, that is a complete freaking car. Well, oh, Isaiah popped in for a guest visit.
Oh, okay.
Hello. But yeah, so we can move. Yeah, we can move this stand now, and then yeah, let's drop this thing on the ground and see how she's sitting.
Oh, dude, I almost wanted to light up the smoke. Oh my god. The temptation, dude.
Yeah, I know.
It's going so
Take
slow.
forever.
Just how slow it's dropping. Oh, it's blown. Delayed. Time to put that jack point to use.
My goodness.
Oh man.
Oh my god, dude! You're lying. That's so crazy. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean the rest of it looks so freaking sick, but yeah, I
Now,
know.
mind you, you gotta show him the side. You gotta show him the side.
Yeah, so
It's
mind you, this thing came in on completely blown struts. Like you can flop them with your hand like that. So with new struts, it'll definitely sit a bit higher, but he's also tucking like 2 inches of the tire right now because he added weight. So it'll raise itself up probably 2 inches off the ground, but either way, We told him, and we fought with him for an hour back and forth through text message, and he did not want to notch the frame rail, so this is as good as it's going to get for engine height. He ain't laying frame on his airbags, that's for sure. No. Told him he was going to lay an oil pan beforehand. Oh, I mean, it looks sick now that it's in there. Let me get you an overhead shot really quick. Yeah, she's all the way in here. But yeah.
Wow. Oh, jeez. You guys don't even know, like, if we could portray the amount of, like, anticipation and just, like, wondering this whole project if that was going to work. Did some rough measurements so we knew it was going to work, but we did not know it was going to be that close. Did not know.
I mean, that's pretty much that. This is now 6 days straight. Today wasn't like a full 10-hour day. We're going on like 2:30 right now, but we've been here for probably 5 hours. But so basically 5 full days of no breaks, just taking 15 minutes to eat lunch really quick. Other than yesterday, we had to run up the street to Home Depot for the drill. So, I mean, in total, because he wasn't here every day, we were doing like in 2 weeks, total of 5 days. And we got the whole rear end rebuilt from scratch, and we got engine brackets made. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much going to be the conclusion of this whole video series for a while. The only other options that are out there for if this guy is not happy with how low the oil pan sits when the car is, not on blown suspension, is we have to go and notch the frame rails and box it in, and we'll have to make new engine brackets, and that's going to be a whole different story, whole different, paycheck. But as for the rear end stuff, the whole subframe, none of that will change. That's all finalized. That's good to go because that's all just suspension. That has nothing to do with the engine and the tranny. So I guess the most important part that may need to be redone later on in the future, especially if a kit's involved for people, is unless all of you guys want your oil pans like little nut hairs off the ground, you're going to have to notch your frame rails. So it's definitely not going to be a very popular kit, I can imagine.
For sure. It's very intrusive into the chassis, especially if you're a customer or a person like our customer on this job particular. He didn't want it cut whatsoever, and we've said that multiple times, but at the end of the day, to do this even more correctly than what we did to eliminate that issue would be to heavily cut into the chassis. And if it's a clean car, I mean, more respect to you if you want to keep it a clean car.
Yeah.
That's just what this kit will require in the future, I feel like. We feel like.
Yeah, but otherwise, it looks really, really awesome in there. So hopefully you guys did enjoy these last couple of videos working on this thing. Hopefully we get cashed out this week on this job. That'd be awesome.
Tell Chris to keep me in the videos.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Definitely plan on keeping them around once we get some more jobs coming in. But if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Again, if you don't follow Corey already, go hit him up on Instagram at Corey.240. And thanks for spending a few minutes of your day here with us. And do what you love. Forget about the rest. We'll see you in the next one. Enjoy your day.
You're awesome.